we're gonna have a presentation on the information management panel, and I would like to invite on the stage Stephane Dubet, who is the head of research and development in AIS France. Stephane, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Roberta. Good morning to all, and thank you, Stephane, for once again giving me the opportunity to address you all with the latest developments, especially in terms of the information management panel. So I will do that with one of my hats, which is being the French member of this panel, and also leading one of the working groups that were established within the information management panel. Thanks, Roberta, for setting the scene. So a lot of what I'm going to present you're already familiar with your presentation. But basically the idea this morning is about weather and with the ATM RPP, which sets the scene and the concept for the future of ATM. You see in this slide that the INP, there's an AIM working group that is mentioned in there. So that's for the future, that's the follow-up of all the work that has been done about AIS, AIM in the AIS, AIM study group, on which you will have a presentation later on. And as soon as this material and the deliverables are accepted through a review by the ANC and publication of a state letter, I guess this will open the area of a new AIM working group to address new challenges and follow-up of the new material. Ultimately, we will have to also address the air-ground exchanges, even if the focus right now is ground-ground, so we will have to link with all the panels as the ones mentioned there. In terms of the INP participation, as you can see on this slide, this is quite global. It includes all continents. It's representative of a number of international organizations representing a wide community of stakeholders. All of them are involved. So you should find in this list some organizational stage to which you can have contact if you want to provide inputs for consideration by the INP. In terms of objectives, I'm not going to read the long text in there, but that's a copy of the setup or the terms of reference of the INP as publicized by ICAO in the creation of the INP. I'm going to just press some key terms that you can see on the right side of the slide. First of all, like Roberta said, the key driver is interoperability. And it's interoperability of exchanges between stakeholders in a node-centric fashion. So we are not talking point-to-point communication. We are talking network-centric communication between all kinds of stakeholders. Because in the SWIM concept, any stakeholder can be a provider or can be a user, and they have to be connected regardless of their nature. The second thing is, in SWIM, the key word is information management. And for information management, we need to have principles on how to manage this information. So this is the second objective. We are talking information services. Like any service that you are offered as a user, before operationally relying on the service, you need to trust the service. If you trust the service, you need to make sure the quality of service is available, trustable, verifiable. So that's the quality of service aspect. Last but not least, because we're talking information management, we also have to talk about information service architecture. And that's the way the provider and the user are linked through services and with the roles and responsibilities of all stakeholders in there. So these are the objectives. This is the kind of roadmap that we have to work in this framework. As I mentioned before, the focus is really on interoperability. And when I say interoperability, I mean interoperability through exchanges of data. When I say data, you can imagine it's not all types of data, but it's data used for ground exchanges, such as article information, weather, flight and flow, airport operations, or surveillance information. This exchange of data, not basic exchange of data, but exchange of data through information services with all the power of the new technology and the possibility to get the information that you need at the time you need it through request reply, through push-pull technologies, etc. So when we first met in Montreal at the first meeting of the IMP, we got these objectives, we got this roadmap, and we tried to do a kind of cartography of the work we've got to do. A number of us are still from the AIM background, so we like to have this idea of a chart that represents our work program. And we came up with the slide that you've got on the screen right now. So at the top, you've got the high-level principles. That's the global interoperability framework and the information management concepts for ATM. And then you've got two things about information and right. First, you've got the fact that the information is right. That means that it's compatible with the standard, it's correctly structured, it's supported by data about the data, or metadata. And on the left part, you've got the fact that you've got the right information. And the right information corresponds to the information that is required by the user to enable operations. So that is linked with the fact that it's aligned with the service architecture, it's aligned with the service requirements. That also includes one element that falls within the scope of the IMP, and that's the Northern System Review. I'll get back to this point that is of interest to most of you in the next slides. In the middle, we've got this notion of trust, because that's the key enabler when we ask the users, the main users, the airlines, etc., to say, we're okay with a swing approach, but we need to trust the services. And to get a trustful services, we will need to have appropriate governance that will define what are the standards that are applicable, how the providers should comply with the standards, how do we link the providers and the users through what we call a registry of service, what are the applicable data quality requirements. At the bottom, these are the deliverables, the main deliverables that we have as an objective. So there's the information management manual. There are also new standards and recommended practices or new elements for guidance or for preparation of transition to global interoperability, the definition of swing, and we've got a number of provisions related to the various components of swing. Standards, information, services, governance, etc. All is there. So, is it broken? No, it's not broken, but it probably needs to be beefed up a little bit with additional information. So we are talking fine-tuning, we are talking additional elements, we are talking new SOPs, but there's nothing that will go against the principles that are laid down in the IPO manual. So, in terms of deliverables, first of all, we're all optimistic and aggressive in terms of our schedule, so we want to have our first deliverables by November 2018. And for that, we need first to have a number of enabling work done. One is the SOPs inventory. Why this inventory? Because if you think about it, there's already a number of standards and recommended practices in material that are related to information management. So we need to have an inventory of that before we add anything new. We need to work on the information service concept and a number of high-level information management concepts and governance elements. and take care of the awareness and communication results we may have. That being done, then we can build the main deliverables that fall into two categories. One is candidate swim standards and recommended practices. So this will be high-level information management provisions. There's a thread about the NOTAMs, and also guidance with the swim manual, potential IM manual, and also the ATM information reference model, which comes as a package, as a UML model, but I will get back to this. So the scene is set. Now, how do we work on this? We work on this with 4 working groups. So we have one working group dealing especially with services and NOTAMs. We have one group that is the technical group on information structure, and that's the architecture working group. We've got one group about communication between the IME and the rest of the world with all stakeholders, that's the awareness and communication. And we've got one group dedicated to governance. So the leaderships for all these groups is being shown there. I'll go into each group to detail a little bit the work that is being done. The first one is the services working group. In the services working group, there's first the work about the NOTAM system. When the AIS and AIM study group finalized their work, they realized they couldn't achieve one of the initial objectives, which was to review the NOTAM system and to come up with a new system in a swim fashion that would look like most of the messaging system that we all have on our cell phones right now, with information that is provided to us whenever there is a new event that is of interest for us and for which we registered. We didn't come that far for a number of reasons. So this task is still open. And it's addressed by this group with a number of AIM subject matter experts that have to document the shortfalls of the NOTAM, have to work on a new system that could replace the NOTAM system and turn it into a 21st century technology rather than a technique that dates back a number of decades now. But still, it works. Its outreach is quite global. It's used by thousands and thousands of stakeholders all over the world. So the transition between this system and whatever new system to replace it is going to be a challenge at the main point. So the transition plan is really an important point, and the guidance that goes with that. It has to take on board the latest discussions at ICAO level on the report of operationally critical information about the runway. And all this work has been started in the IMP under the service working group. So that's one thread, and the other thread of the service working group is the one on information services, where we've got to build the information service concept, a little bit similar to what was done for FFIs, the flight control thread. Second group is about the architecture, but before we go into their program, some words on architecture. So the main, as outlined in the ICAO manual and SWE, the main elements about information architecture is what we call the ATM information reference model, the AIRM. So that's different from the AIXM. Huh? First, the A doesn't mean the same thing. The A of AIXM means AIS, and the A of AIRM means ATM. So that's a much wider scope in the AIRM. And the second difference, as you noticed, is that between AIXM and AIRM, is the third letter is now R, reference model. But that means it's a conceptual model. It's not at the level of an exchange model. It's not as technical as the AIXM. But still, it defines the key terms, it defines the relationship between terms, and it's kind of the building block for all exchange models. AIXM or WXXM or FIXM or any other XM. Because ultimately all these exchange models that are developed by a community of interest will have to adhere to some common definitions. Obviously, the weather information exchange model will address airdromes. The AXM will address airdromes. FIXM will probably address airdromes. But if the three models have a different understanding of the term airdrome, then our notion of interoperability is already lost. So we need to make sure through this ATM information reference model that we have a glue between the various exchange models. So in terms of the architecture working group, they had a kind of a full program because they started with the inventory of the information management standards and recommended practices through all annexes. So they now have a document that is more than 200 pages long that just quotes all the provisions in IPO material, not only IPO Annex 15, all the annexes talking about information management. Then they prepare the new source contribution. They work on the swim manual, so both the update of the existing manual and the creation of a specific information management manual. They also have a thread on the AIRM where they work on the actual model. They plan to have the first release by the end of this year and the final release in 2018. They act as the AIXM informer or advisor, and they've got a new thread on information resource naming to make sure that we've got unique identification of all our information resources. The awareness working group, well, this one is probably easier to explain because it's basically a communication channel between the stakeholders, that means all of you, and the work that we are doing in the IMP. So this group is gathering information from the various technical groups, the service, architecture, and governance, RAPs. This lab provides synthesis and provides reports, communication to the stakeholders, so that's in one direction. The other direction is also important to gather the feedback, to gather inputs, suggestions for the IMP. And the last one that I have the pleasure to lead is the pleasure is not always the word, depending on the topic, but that's another story. So it's the swim governance working group, where, well, first of all, governance is always a word that is a little bit misleading or frightening. People think governance means getting power over a domain, or it's a word for the CEOs, etc. Forget about this. Here we'll talk technical governance. So we are addressing the standards, the policies, the processes to be applied to information exchanges so that we build trust. So the scope of swim governance is really all themes: the information, the services, the technical infrastructure, the compliance to standards. We've got a number of candidate contributions as standards and recommended practices, or for guidance that you can see on the screen for high-level principles, information with the control vocabulary, with the governance of exchange models, also registry of services. We talk a lot about services, but we need a place to make sure those services are made available or publicized so that you all, as a potential user, can discover and access them. We talk about compliance to standards. The governance working group themes. We've got a number of them. We've got some foundational elements like roles and responsibilities depending on the type of stakeholder. Whether you're an ANSP or an airline, you may not have the same role in the swim. The swim governance scope and the priorities. That's an important one because anytime there's a hot title that appears in the IMP, it sounds like the ball goes to the swim governance. The swim governance, even if it has a wide scope, cannot resolve all the problems about information in general. So for instance, the matters of how you build a common copyright applicable worldwide is something that would be desirable, but that we're not going to take over in the governance working group, because we know from experience that others have been working on for years on this, and there's no easy way out. So there's no reason why the swim governance would address that. So as I said, we work on the registry, the control vocabulary. How do we apply governance to exchange models? So basically, this one is quite representative of a direct interest to build trust. How do you, as a stakeholder, have the possibility to comment on a given exchange model, to make suggestions, to ask questions? And in addition to this question, how do we make sure that the way we answer this question is the same for AIXM, WXXM, FIXM, or others? So in other words, have a consistent way to ensure the governance of exchange models, swim compliance, and data information and service quality. Okay, so if you fell asleep, if you think that's too theoretical, I've got one example there, just one slide that will give you an example of what we are doing in practice. So say we're in a swim context. We've got services that are offered, like a service that provides you with the weather or very precise wind information over the Atlantic Ocean. Okay, what do you need as a potential user of this service? First, you need to know that this service exists. So it needs to be in a registry or in a kind of directory of services. But in addition to that, you will probably need to get some more information before you register to this service. What's the name? What's the description? What does it provide? What are the characteristics of the service? Is that information provided by one MET provider or a number of MET providers? Who are they? So what's the identification? What's the quality of the service? What's the provider commits in terms of accuracy of the wind prediction? What are the access restrictions? Can I access the service as an airline? Is there a fee? Should I pay something? What's the quality of the service? Am I certain that this service is going to remain continuous as a performance that meets my operational requirements? What's the status of the service? Is it operational? Is that in test? So this is the kind of work that we are doing to assess the minimum characteristics of the service description that are required for global adoption and also trust in the swim system. So I hope it illustrates a little bit the theoretical aspects of the description of the work program. So that leads me to some last slides about our early ideas of what we could come up as new standards and recommended practices. We'll obviously have the definitions, but we don't expect to reinvent the wheel. We'll probably build on the existing ones. We will have some standards and recommended practices about governance, such as the one I just mentioned, the characterization of the services, the information and the use of globally accepted reference models, such as the AIRM and the exchange models. A focus on services, because that's where we believe there's many SARs to be added to the existing ones. And for the technical part, we don't expect that much, because for the technical infrastructure, we will probably go performance-based. The idea on swim is not to build a brand new technology, but to build on the existing one with the internet protocols, etc. So it's a technology standards that are readily available. They will only be mentioned in guidance. So to conclude this quick overview of the IMP, even if it's only 1.5 years old, it's now up and running with 4 themes. And as you saw, their work program is pretty full already. They've been working for the last 3 years in WebEx, in plenary meetings, in face-to-face meetings, joint working group meetings. So there's a lot of working arrangements that are already in place for the work to be progressed with this aggressive schedule of end 2018 for deliverables. We have a common understanding of our target, which is to build on the existing Scrum manual, to develop those high-level provisions for standards and recommended practices, and to support them with guidance material such as the ATM information reference model, the common vocabulary for Scrum, etc. We also know that we've got this hot potato, this tough nut, which is the replacement of the modem system to crack. So there's a lot of work being done on this one as well. And in the next few months, after the review by the ANC of the AIM study group outcome, we will set up an AIM working group to address new AIM challenges. Of course, all contributions are welcome. There's a number of states that are present in the IMP in this room, so if you've got any suggestion or question, feel free to liaise with them. We accept and welcome all suggestions. Thank you for your attention.